last night. 2 people were killed while we weren't watching because nobody was paying attention. In Wisconsin, in Kenosha, 2 people were dead at the hands of a vigilante who decided that he was going to cross state lines. 17 years old. Thank you, Twitter, by the way, because for the longest they couldn't tell you who it was, but Twitter posted his picture, his name, and everything. Even though the media, and I'm not going to say his name because as a member of the media in this seat, I'm going to adhere to the rules, which is they don't put minors' names out there. But this 17-year-old resident of Antioch, Illinois, came in with an assault rifle and gunned down people last night. 2 protesters lost their lives at the hands of this cretin. And this is firmly in the seat of Donald J. Trump. This is the climate that he has fostered. And now he has the audacity, and this is really scary, he's going to be sending in federal and national guards into Kenosha. So if you're living in Wisconsin, gird your loins, because this is anarchy. This right here is the purge. It has started, and none of us are prepared for it. And when I say us, I mean us, black folk. We are not ready. Folks have been mounting this whole militia thing for the last 2 decades. We saw it back with Timothy McVeigh. Actually, we can go back longer than that. They have been mounting this pending race war. We can go back to Manson. Let's go back to Manson. They have been hoping for a race war. They have been hoping for a race war and been preparing. They've been sending people to the military. They've been sending people to the police forces. There's no coincidence. This is not, I can't understand why people are being shot indiscriminately in the streets by police officers. It is part of the plan. And we never planned for that. So guess what? It's here now.
Yeah. One of the things is, I was talking to my son. I got a 14-year-old son. So obviously anybody who's got kids, any black person who's got kids that are growing up in this environment, growing up in America at any point, right, that you got to have certain talks with your kids and you got to start telling them the truth about their existence and what goes on in this world, right? One of the things that I mentioned to him was that we have spent so many years of our lives just surviving, right? We've been put in a position economically and, societally that we're spending a lot of our time just making it to the next day, making it to the next week, making it, paying my rent, paying my bills, and not having an opportunity to plan, prepare ourselves for the future. And that's why you find a lot of us, generational stagnation, people, stay in the hood for years and years and years. You can't get out of the hood, right? Because the system is pretty much stacked against you. And it's hard for you to prepare for something else, to think of a bigger picture when you're trying to survive and feed yourself for the next day. While these dudes are creating the same situation to keep you in that state while they prepare to obliterate you. So if you think about like large scale warfare, it's like we often think warfare would be, hey, I declare war, I'm going to come shoot and drop a bomb on you. But, warfare is chemical warfare. Crack. In my heart, I feel that was an act of warfare. You dropped a chemical substance into our communities, which destroyed us. Right? We're not farming cocaine.
Let's make it worse than that. You dropped the substance in, and then you, through your laws, made it 10 times more. You penalized it 10 times more than
Correct.
Powder cocaine, knowing that you did that. So if you don't believe that, we're not talking conspiracy theories. John Ehrlichman, you can Google search this, we'll tweet it out, who was the architect under the Nixon administration of this thing that then became the war on drugs. But the plan, and he was the domestic policy maker in the Nixon administration to flood the black community at that time with heroin, right?
Correct.
And then criminalize it and then arrest them. Yep. So you got 2 things going at the same time. We get you hooked on this drug and then we arrest you for using and selling.
Correct.
Then the next wave was Reagan, right? Crack cocaine. And then you codify it in the law. And then you can do 3 strikes. You put judges on the bench that you handcuff them from making any decisions because the laws tell you how much time a person gets. So folks are in jail for the rest of their lives for being drug addicts or for selling drugs that were brought into the community. So you're saying something, not just the chemical part, but then the assault.
Multifaceted, yeah. It's real talk. And then, and you think about who's being incarcerated, right? It was people like me. It was the men, of the society. it was our fighters, our strongest people, right? So you took multiple generations of our strongest, our brightest, and you locked them up in cages and took them away. And they couldn't contribute financially to the home. They couldn't contribute financially to our, community. They couldn't contribute to the children that came behind them, right? Couldn't raise their own children because they were gone. You put everything on the woman of the household. And then on top of that, which is, one of the things that bothers me already going on to this, then you force those of us who, managed to escape, right, tiptoe and work our way through all of this, right? You put us in a situation where you made it so that we couldn't be our full selves, right? Hey, I got to know my role and I got to fit into this because I know how these people are, right? So I can't be my full self around these people because they're going to find me threatening. They won't let me, sit at the table with them. They won't let me do this. I can't say what I want to say. So I've got to basically put myself in a box as well, decrease my power level to accommodate to you. So, you find a lot of brothers who are kind of like meek on purpose, trying to I don't want you to feel threatened about me, around me, because I know how you people get down. And I'm going to assume the position of the weaker because I know how you people get down. And then, so if you think about generational, we're going through all of that.
What is that?
And now
right.
They've been stockpiling guns. These have been stockpiling weapons.
Yes.
Just like Obama, they've been ready to do that.
No, before
right?
Obama. This has been, they thought way before Obama. This is before Obama. Obama was like a blip on their, they didn't imagine that was going to happen. That was a shocker. 866-801-8255. But as you're also talking about this, I'm thinking about all of the folks that were incarcerated, locked away in cages, who then were stripped of their humanity. Because when you treat a person like an animal, sometimes, most of the time, Pavlov will tell us, they behave in a way that you treat them. You condition them. So you got them in cages. You ring a bell for them to get up, to wake, and then there's this energy, solitary confinement. I mean, it's just, and yet still we're here, and yet still you're a doctor, and yet still I'm doing my thing, and everyone listening. So at the end of the day, it didn't work. But I don't think we're ready for what's coming, and this is the purge. And I feel very strongly about what's happening in Kenosha because Don Lemon said something last night that people are being mad. They're on Twitter. Twitter, y'all could stop. This social media has given rise to a lot of people that have a lot to say, just to say something. Yeah, the substance level is very low. But I'm gonna actually, we're gonna play it. Play the Don Lemon clip.
The problem is not going to be fixed by then, but what they can do, and I think maybe Joe Biden may be afraid to do it. I'm not sure. Maybe he won't. Maybe he is. He's got to address it. He's got to come out and talk about it. He's got to do a speech like Barack Obama did about race. He's got to come out and tell people that he is going to deal with the issue of police reform in this country, and that what's happening now is happening under Donald Trump's watch. And on Donald Trump's watch. And when he is the president, Kamala Harris is the vice president, then they will take care of this problem. But guess what? The rioting has to stop. Chris, as you know and I know, it's showing up in the polling. Mm-hmm. It's showing up in focus groups. It is the only thing right now that is sticking.
866-801-8255. Now, people are saying Don Lemon shouldn't be lecturing people because the riots are a symptom and blah, blah, blah. And they are. The riots are a symptom. But listen to what he's saying. Y'all got blindsided in 2016. I didn't, because I sit here every day and I talk to people. And I know what's out there. And I talk to people who aren't necessarily listening. I talk to people who are melanemic every day. I have melanemic people in my world who I talk to. And here's what they're saying.
Use that.
Yeah, no, that's Jane Elliott. Cousin Jane gave us melanemic. What they are saying is, I get that there's a racial problem, but the crime and the riots, and I'm afraid that it's going to come into my neighborhood. And all you need is an ember of fear on a good, well-meaning soul. Well, at least Trump's going to send out the National Guard. He's going to protect my property. He's going to do something. Biden's not going to do anything. And the Rorschach test, which is a psychological test that shows you splotches and then determines based on algorithms and what have you, how you think about things. Don Lemon is absolutely correct about this playing well and sticking with well-meaning liberal white folk who would be inclined to vote for Joe Biden, except their single issue, and their single issue right now is safety. And if they don't believe Joe Biden can protect their property, their family, etc., they're going to vote for Trump again because they don't have anything to lose. Their kids aren't being shot 8 times in the back, and they're not having a knee put on their neck. So they can actually put that, it's enough of this racial Black Lives Matter. I'm sick of it. And at least with Trump elected again, it's going to all calm down. If you aren't paying attention to this, and I'm not saying people stop being in the streets. There's a difference between being in the streets and rioting, and half of the riots and the burnings are done at the hands of white people. The looting are done by white people. But that narrative isn't drummed out enough. There's not enough. Maybe it's the media. I don't give a damn at this point. But this is a real thing. And if we aren't paying attention, Don Lemon is absolutely right on this.
So I feel there's a couple of things to kind of chew on there. A, the rioting, some of the rioting is as a result of right-wing sickos and kooks who are,
Yes.
taking advantage of that situation to create anarchy and violence. So some of that stuff you can't do anything about because these people have already planned that they're going to go and, cause trouble in the midst. This kid that came and murdered people last night, he came from another state. He's not even from Wisconsin, right? He brought the violence. So there's a certain amount of that is outside of your control. What are you going to do then? Are you going to allow people to then dictate your actions by their actions? Then you're playing, then
no, but what I'm saying is if there were strong enough leadership in the Black community, every day they would be beating that drum. This is not us burning down our own stuff. This is them.
Correct.
Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Look at the AutoZone. Look at the police station in Minneapolis. Look at the Wendy's in Atlanta. These were white people. These pallets of bricks did not come. And again, it's got to be a constant drum beat. We're not beating that drum every day. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you a question. Right? And this is real talk, right? Those quote-unquote well-meaning white folks, I'm going to put that in quotes, right? Well-meaning white folks who would vote for Trump because of that, right? How well-meaning can you be in the midst of all that has gone on in the past 4 years?
Dr. Damas, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Hold on a second. Let me say this. Am I really going to rest my future on people who are willing to overlook so many other atrocities for this kind of Willie Horton type of stuff, right? You're not down anyway.
You're not hearing me.
Personally,
You're not hearing me.
Okay. Go ahead.
Willie Horton worked. The welfare queen worked. This will work. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying that it's good. I'm saying it works.
You got to understand the demographics have changed in the country, right? You're talking about something that took place 30 years ago. There's 2 generations in that time span. There's a younger voting populace than that was during that time. We have we have greater levels of communication through social media. We have young people the people that were in the streets were young people. I tell people all the time, listen, I was around for Eleanor Bumpers. I was around for Amadou Diallo. I was around for Rodney King, right? All of my peoples wasn't out in the street and forced like these kids were. I'm telling you absolute truth. They wasn't out there for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time like these kids.
What do the numbers tell you? What do the numbers tell you as far as that demographic and their voting?
Way more of us.
Yeah, but do they vote? Huh? Are they going to vote with the same level of passion?
You don't think they're going to vote?
They don't. They don't vote. And you have that coupled with Puffy and Ice Cube and other Jaheim telling people not to vote. So you got 2 things going on at the same time. No, you're laughing, but this is a perfect. Jaheim, yeah, this is a perfect brew right now. You're not paying attention. If you think those kids represent voters per se, you're not paying attention to what. No, I don't.
Well, I will tell you this. One of the issues that when you're young people have is the lack of acknowledgement of their voice from people who are older than them, right? So I see you rolling your eyes right now.
No, I'm not. I teach that. I'm telling you, I have been vocal about that generation saving us. But that generation hasn't demonstrated voting in large numbers. They just have not. Now, I'm willing to be wrong. I hope they show up 90% of them, but they have shown up 15 to 20% over time. The most we've seen with Barack Obama, who had a concerted effort to reach young people, right? But
So
by and large,
there's a blueprint.
we're talking. There is a blueprint, but who's following it? Joe Biden and them? They're not. I'm telling you already. They're not following the Obama blueprint.
All right,
They're
here's
just
the
not.
point. So let's look at it this way, right? So what you're saying, and I listen, we're doing like a thought exercise here, right? So what you're saying is that you want an all of the above kind of approach, right? You want to make sure that we get the well-meaning but real flaky white people in the suburbs that are afraid of our black bodies moving in next door to them and bringing MS-13. We need to go to them and let them know, no, look at me. I'm a nice, gentle black guy. You don't have to worry when I'm about you.
I'm not saying
right?
that. I'm saying that Joe Biden, who wants to be president of the United States, and this is why I was so very strong on him picking Val Deming, needs to demonstrate not law and order, but order, that he's going to put the cities back together again. This is not about black people and white people right now. Let's take that off the table. Everything's about black and white, but it's really not. It's about messaging. And if the media is going to continue to show the burning and the looting and the this and the that and the da-da-da-da and frame this, it's going to have the same impact as Willie Horton, as the welfare queen. There's no difference.
Let me ask you this, though. If a kid came to a protest with an AR-15, is that what it's called, assault rifle, right?
Assault rifle,
shot
yep.
three people, and your takeaway from that is, hey man, but these dudes is out here, you know, and you're a well-meaning person, and you don't say to yourself, there was an actual murderer. There was a kid out there murdering people.
Here you go, Dr. Damas. Dr. Damas, I need to cut
I gave
you off.
up. What I'm saying to you is that I've given up on the quote-unquote well-meaning.
And you should,
people.
because they're trash. They're trash. Those people are trash. But what I'm saying is
I can't roll with them like that.
You're operating through a lens of humanity and logic. This world is not that. We're not in a logical, humane world. So your sensibilities are absolutely correct. You're absolutely right. Why should we spend 1 minute of time on somebody who could give a damn about people, who probably care more about dogs and cats than they do about human beings? Correct. Right? You're right. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about politically, we're in a position to have Trump get elected again. If the messaging isn't correct, I'm saying Don Lemon is right. You're right. You're right fundamentally, spiritually, as a person. We're not dealing with those realms right now, Dr. Damas. And so what I'm saying is there needs to be, I don't care where it comes. When I look at Lincoln, the party, not the party Lincoln, they borrowed my thing, the Project Lincoln and what they've been doing every day. We need about 10 more of those to beat that drum, to be the counter to, because what they've been very effective at is very quick, easy messaging, and it's effective. If you watched any of the RNC, which I have not, but I've seen the outtakes, is law and order, and it's fear, blah, 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 and they're going to come, and they're going to get your guns, they're going to take away your rights, they're socialists, they're going to have anarchy, they don't care, Black Lives Matter, blah, blah, blah. Cops, they're attacking cops, and it is working. It is working. I had a doctor on yesterday. Go ahead.
No, I would say this, right? Like, you're right. They've always been good at their messages because the messaging is simple. It goes down to race. It's us versus them. It's always been for them, us versus them. And let me give you examples. Us versus them. They're crazy. They're animals. They're going to take all your stuff. Blah, blah, blah. It's us versus them. So they're just rehashing that and hammering it in, right? It's like basic marketing. You just repeat the same thing over and over. Whereas progressives and Democrats, everyone's got a big idea, right? It's all this stuff. Oh, man, we're going to do Green New Deal. We're going to do universal health care. We're going to do free tuition. We're going to do this and that and this and that. And then it becomes like this big kind of mishmash of all of this stuff that it's hard to get out over and over. It's because it's just so much stuff. So you're absolutely right that the messaging has not been great because you're just throwing too many things out there, right? I would say, and I agree with you on this side of the politics, is that the messaging does have to narrow down. I agree with you on that. I disagree with you on the fact that the messaging needs to include the possibility of these people who are on the fence. I think what we
I didn't
really
say
need
that,
is
though.
rile up
That's
our
not what
troops.
I didn't say. I didn't give a damn about them. I don't care about
Okay.
them. I'm saying
I
that,
would-
but they vote, and they will show up in large numbers. So let's
Yeah.
be smart, and we're smarter than this.